welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of On This Day in Tudor History. Now, by this day in Tudor history, the 14th of November 1541, in the reign of King Henry VIII, things were not looking good for Thomas Culpeper, a member of the King's Privy Chamber, and a man who Francis Derham, secretary to Queen Catherine Howard, had claimed had succeeded him in the Queen's affections. It was on this day that an inventory was taken of the goods and chattels, lands and fees of Thomas Culpeper the Younger. Now, before I tell you about the inventory, let me just explain the background to all this. On the 2nd of November 1541, just days after returning from his progress to the north with his fifth wife, Catherine Howard, King Henry VIII had been informed by his Archbishop of Canterbury that allegations had been made concerning Catherine's past. It was claimed that during her time in her step-grandmother, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk's household, that Catherine had had a romantic relationship with her music tutor, which went as far as heavy petting, and a full sexual relationship with Francis Derham, who was employed by the Dowager Duchess. During the subsequent investigation, it came to light that Catherine had had secret meetings during the royal progress with Thomas Culpeper, helped by one of her ladies, Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford. Thomas Culpeper was arrested around the 12th or 13th of November and interrogated. During the interrogations, he admitted to having a romance with Catherine before she married the king, and then this romance being revived after her marriage. He denied having sex with Catherine, but confessed that the couple intended to do ill with each other. Now, intention was all that was needed to seal the couple's fate, because the 1534 Treason Act stated that traitors were those who do maliciously wish, will, or desire, by words or writing, or by craft, imagine, invent, practice, or attempt any bodily harm to be done or committed to the king's most royal person. Sleeping together, with its risk of pregnancy, would impugn the succession. Culpeper was in trouble, and while he was imprisoned, an inventory of his possessions was taken on this day in 1541. The inventory taken included Culpeper's possessions at Westminster Palace, which included 2 caps of velvet that the king gave him, along with other items of clothing and some swords, daggers and sundries, his horses, harnesses for the horses, and furniture at various places. Debts and ready money owing to him, revenues from his lands, which included several manors and a former monastery in Kent, his various offices, the king had been generous with these, his possessions in his house at Greenwich, and his furniture, hangings, and possessions within the Great Lodge at Souththryth of Master Culpeper. You can tell from me sharing those bits with you that Culpeper wasn't poor. I mean, we think of a groom of the Privy Chamber as just being a servant, but this was a man who was had been previously loyal to the king and had been rewarded for his service. King Henry VIII was very generous to those who served him. By this time, an inventory had also been taken of the possessions of the lady who'd helped Culpeper and Catherine, that lady being Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford. The list included a large amount of plate, jewels including a brooch with an agate, a cross of diamonds with 3 pearls pendant, a flower of rubies, a flower with a ruby and a great emerald with a pearl pendant, a tablet of gold with black, green and white enamelled, a pair of bracelets of red cornalines, a pair of beads of gold and stones, a brooch of gold with an antique head and a white face. The inventory also included apparel belonging to Jane Boleyn, and the list included kirtles of black velvet and black satin, a nightgown of black taffeta, a gown of black damask, and a gown of black satin. It's interesting to note that all the items of clothing listed in the inventory are black. Was Jane wearing black to demonstrate her wealth and status, with black fabric being expensive? Or was she still wearing mourning attire following her husband George Boleyn Lord Rochford's execution in 1536? It's impossible to know. Thomas Culpeper was found guilty of high treason against the King's Majesty in misdemeanour with the Queen, along with Francis Derham at a trial at Guildhall in London on the 1st of December 1541. Both men were condemned to death and executed at Tyburn on the 10th of December 1541. Culpeper, due to his status, was beheaded, but Derham suffered a full traitor's death, i.e. he was hanged, drawn and quartered. Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford, was beheaded along with her mistress, Queen Catherine Howard, at the Tower of London on the 13th of February 1542. Tomorrow, I'll be talking about one of King Edward IV's daughters, who took a vow of chastity after the death of her husband. Do make sure that you're subscribed, just click there, and that you've hit the bell so that you don't miss that video. Also on this day in Tudor history, the 14th of November, the feast of St Erkenwald, there may have been 2 royal weddings. We know that Catherine of Aragon married Arthur, Prince of Wales, on the 14th of November 1501, but chronicler Edward Hall gives the 14th of November 1532 as the date of a secret wedding for King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, Marquess of Pembroke, in Dover. You can find out more about these 2 royal weddings in last year's video. You'll find a link to that in the description. Thank you for joining me today. Please do give me a thumbs up, a like if you've enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave a comment. I really appreciate you watching this and the interaction that we have in the comments as well. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye. In last year's video, you'll find a link.